Hi everybody, let's do a quick recap on how we can use equations to solve percent problems. If you notice the steps on the left, those are the steps we're going to use. When we write an equation, we're going to know that every time we see the word is, it's going to be an equal sign. If I see the word of, I'm going to multiply. Don't forget that with a percent in an equation, the percent is the decimal form. And anytime you have an unknown, we write a variable. So let's first use that first step to translate this problem. This problem says what is. We don't know what. So I'm going to write a variable. I see the word is. So when I see that word is, I know I'm going to use an equal sign. I see the percent. So I'm going to change that percent into a decimal form. And when I do that, I'm going to move that decimal point 2 places to the left. So 0.155. I see the word of, and we know that of means to multiply. And then when I see 24, I'm just going to write the number 24. So that is step one. I have now written an equation. I'm going to use inverse operations if needed. I don't need to use inverse operations because the variable is all by itself. So all I'm going to do is simply multiply, use my calculator, and type in what is 0.155 times 24. When you do that, you get that x is equal to 3.72. All right, this problem says what percent of 32 is 56? In this problem, I am starting with the unknown. So when I see what percent, I'm going to put a variable. Then I see the word of, and we know that the word of means to multiply. I'm going to multiply by 32. Then I see the word is in my equation. So I'm going to use an equal sign and then use the number 5.6. Now, normally 32 is the coefficient. Normally we see the coefficient written first. So we'd see 32x equals 5.6. Both of those equations mean the same thing. So it doesn't matter which way you go because remember the commutative property of multiplication says that we can change the order. Now, do I need to use inverse operations to solve? Yes, because the variable is with the number. I have a coefficient. So I have to undo that multiplication. What's the opposite of multiplication? Division. So I'm going to divide by 32 because then those cancel. But what you do to one side, you do to the other side. Now, when I do this, be careful with the order of your division. This means 5.6 divided by 32. When you do that, you get 0.175. This is a decimal. This is where 0.3 comes in. If the percent is the unknown, which it was, it said what percent. I need to change from a decimal to a percent. So remember to do that, that decimal goes 2 to the right. So your answer would be 17.5%. I could go back and double check that. What if I wanted to say, what is 17.5% of 32? Well, if I change that to a decimal and I multiply by 32, you end up getting 5.6. So it all works out. This problem says 56% of what number is 14? So in this problem, I'm starting with the percent. What do I do with my percent? I make it into a decimal. So I'm going to move it over 1, 2 to get 0.56%. I see the word of. I see the word of there, so I'm going to use multiplication. I don't know what number, so I'm going to just use a variable. I see the word is, so I'm going to write an equal sign, and then I'm just going to write that 14. Do I need to use inverse operations? Well, is the variable by itself or do I need to get the variable by itself? I need to get it by itself. So I'm going to undo this. How do I undo multiplication? With division. So I divide by what is with the variable, the coefficient. What you do to one side, you do to the other. That means that x is going to equal whatever 14 divided by 0.56 is. When you do that in your calculator and you're careful with the order of your division, you get that x is 25. Now I could go back and plug that in. I could go back and say 56% of what number? 25 is 14. When you do that, you will get the same answer. Change your percent to a decimal, multiply, and that is a true statement.